Good afternoon, everyone. Well, we're set for the first steps into the Rugby Europe Championship 2022, but critically, second steps and major steps at that towards Rugby World Cup 2023. All points, of course, are vital and home advantage will be crucial. So for Spain this afternoon, you would think its opportunity knocks against the bottom team, Netherlands, who have perhaps different objectives through the course of this campaign. Certainly fans in the stands will make all the difference this afternoon. Beautiful day in Madrid, so no excuses, you would think, for any handling errors, he says cautiously, but it's certain to be a fast start that the Los Leones are looking for this afternoon to get themselves going. Great to see people back supporting this now in this first step for Los Leones. Spain against the Netherlands from the Estadio Nacional Complutense in Madrid. Well, we've already made sure that this game has been built up to get things going very quickly. Of course, we've already seen this afternoon Romania defeat the Russians at home. Didn't get the bonus point though, so the Spaniards will know just how important it is to build and build properly in this game and make sure they get the maximum haul once the full-time whistle is blown. Here's the coin toss from earlier on. Fernando Lopez on the right with Dirk Dannen, the Dutch skip, on the left. Referee Gianluca Nerchi this afternoon. Looks like Spain have won it. And the Netherlands are going to have kick-off. Well, they'll need no introduction, that's for sure. As just sorting out which hand they're going to shake with, if at all. Only 7 weeks ago, of course, these two faced up in Amsterdam. Netherlands team shows 7 changes from that starting lineup, plus 2 positional changes. Notably, newbie Caleb Korteweg introduces himself at 9 in a new halfback partnership with David Verschma. Outside them, Sialau moves in 1 at centre to allow Virenka back, and the pack has 2 new locks. There's the bench as well. Storm Carroll back in the mix. Yada Plain will be a debutant if he gets off the bench. Team stepping out in black shirts, which I'll explain a little bit more in just a moment. Have a look at the home team lineup in just a tick. Big opportunity for all these players to get themselves onto the front foot straight off. There is the home lineup. Same adjustments from the home side, indeed, with injuries and unavailability ruling out a number of familiar names. Gauthier Minguillon moves to 15. Goya comes in on the wing. The biggest introduction up front sees the return of Asier Usaraga after an absence of 3 years. Most blatant name there, well, that's Mathieu Belli returning for the first time since that eligibility fiasco 4 years ago. Now, the teams after that match in Amsterdam had a tragic accident which culminated in the death of Spain's second row, Kawaleuma. Spain, Netherlands and the world of rugby pays its respects to his untimely passing. First though, the anthems. So the official part is done, pre-match. As I mentioned earlier, that first encounter before Christmas was marred in a huge way by the tragic accident that took Samoan second rower Kawaleuma from the world of rugby. There's the shirts being laid out. The big number 5 wasn't indeed able to play in that game, but was with the group and then tragically lost his life a few days later. So the world of rugby pays its respects to the untimely passing of Kawaleuma. So a hugely emotional moment, beautifully handled by the presentation party in the stadium, and hence the black t-shirts bearing the image of Kawaleuma. So teams get themselves set for what will be all in a big start to this campaign. There's Gianluca Necchi heading up an Italian quartet of officials this afternoon. I'm Simon Ward. Alongside me, former England Sevens captain Rob Vickerman. Vix, the adrenaline will be huge. The emotion will be topping that after what we've just seen. It's going to be the first 10 minutes where you feel both teams are going to just have to settle themselves into this game as much as they can.
Yeah, good afternoon, Wardy. I mean, what an emotional situation we've just witnessed there. Never nice to see anyone passing, but certainly the world of rugby is mourning a player and a person. And for them, the Spanish team have to now come out and control that. The emotions that they would have been feeling at that time can often override a system, and they must know the best way to pay respects to one of their enforcers, Kawale Uma, is to come out here and perform. But undoubtedly would be a very raw 10 minutes, I imagine, and that time to settle is now.
David Wiersma gets the first touch on the ball as the game gets underway. Holland in all black, I should say the Netherlands, that's always going to be a trip up. Spain in their traditional red and blue. And we noticed in that Amsterdam game that Holland had a really good first 10-15 minutes, got the first score on the board, but then palpably lost their stamina through the course of the next hour. And that is something that Zane Gardner is very aware of, about managing the way the game is played and the way they play the game to keep enough in the stocks. Looks like we had an accidental head knock there.
Yeah, I saw that straight away actually with one of their own players. Got to be so careful with these head injuries. Obviously welfare a big part of what World Rugby are talking about and acting on, as we can see right across the game. So caution will be applied. It was actually just prior to this breakdown. The collision before that is where the head was hit. Referee checking it, and as you see with Gianluca Ginecki, he knows exactly what to do. He stops the game, checks the player out, and he will be sure to make sure the physios and doctors are putting a call as to the next steps.
Yeah, because they had the possession. Okay.
Gianluca Ginecki with his second game in this tournament. He took charge of Georgia's 29-16 win over Portugal back in March last year and was in the sevens. I think you saw him in Spain the last fortnight. I know you've been sunning yourself in Seville and wherever else it was.
It was Costa del Cold, Wardy. Wasn't that hot, but yeah, I think trying himself out, Necki on the sevens. You're going to get fit from it. Certainly that. He actually went really well. Nice to see him being a part of the sevens world, and like you say, 2 weeks in Andalusia, added to with a bit of time in Madrid. This was the collision. Saw it actually happen, a shoulder to head. And it'd be a real shame. Barbarenka, one of the better players. Yeah, really good player for the Netherlands. So they'll be sure to make sure he's able to play on, if able to. But it would have been a head injury. They will likely assess him, take him to the sideline. The head injury assessment, the HIA as it's known. There's the independent doctor come on to verify that. Coach is just on looking. We'll be working out what to do. It's a very early change for the Netherlands backline.
Inside the first minute, there's Santi Santos heading up the Spanish coaching contingent this afternoon. And Virenka is going to have an HIA. Just to check what's going on. Presumably Storm Carroll will be on wearing there's Gardner on the walkie already. Moose Van Oort it is, in fact, who's come on into the mix early doors. Storm Carroll there. Also, just looking to see the numbering has changed slightly. In fact, 23 is Caleb Korteweg, so the shirt's obviously not quite working out size-wise for the newbies in the Netherlands ranks. We should keep an eye on that.
That was a good play. Tay Campbell getting in the mixer.
Yeah, Tay Campbell's having more and more of an influence on this new side, really. Being able to express himself on that 15 berth.
And the only benefit of an injury being so early into the game, as substitutes would have just about sat down on the bench at the side of the pitch and not had that chance to get drawn into watching, or perhaps even not feel the benefit of the warm-up. So if changes are going to be made early, is sometimes better.
Spain able to take unexpected possession inside their own 22. Gauthier Minguillon in that full-back berth, having been on the wing for most of his international career, in the absence of the likes of Charlie Mallier, John Vessel-Bell, getting his chance in that pivotal role, the way that this game's going to be played. Good break from Alvaro Jimeno. A turner, that is some turnover from Christopher Raymond. If it's coming back Holland, Netherlands side, that is a great turnover from the blind side.
Oh, he's like a magnet on the ball, wasn't he? He got straight over it. Really strong. The whole of this Netherlands back row, for me, the pillar of the strength of their team is their physicality they bring to it in 6, 7 and 8. The great work initially by Christopher Raymond, and then captain helping out as well, Dirk Donen. But there was a really good line. Lovely left foot step coming up. There's the jump back on the inside. And Alvaro Jimeno going straight down the middle, often a very exposing place for these players. They cover the wings and outside relatively well, but inside that channel, that's where the space was. And there is the steal. What fantastic play. Really, really good stuff already from the Netherlands back row. Expect that to continue throughout this game.
Well, Raymond's one of those players who's had boots will travel into New Zealand, into Scotland as well. I think COVID interrupted those sort of travels, and now he's in the Netherlands and enjoying life in the international ranks for Zane Gardner's team.
One of the benefits of the COVID lockdowns, actually, Wardy, many players have now accrued 18 months, 2 years on the back of not travelling a lot for residency.
Yeah, there have been some pluses, despite the multitude of minuses. Now you see Van Oort moving into his familiar fly half berth there, which allows Wiersma to move out to inside centre, a position that he's well versed in. And Holland, Netherlands, I must get Netherlands right. And the Netherlands looking to find their gears very quickly and keep that flow to their loose game as they try and pick things up. But yeah, the coming off the feet at the ruck has just stunted that one.
Nice bit of interplay again, just trying to get that ball moving wide. Both teams looking to try and play an expansive game, which is brilliant. And you see this clear from Dirk Donen. It's difficult because actually if you look at it from that angle, Rued gets well out of the way, the 9 for Spain. He's clearing the way. So as soon as he moves, Donen then doesn't have anything to hit, and as a result loses balance, and the referees want to see players stay on their feet to compete over the ball. And it's an easy decision really for Neki to pull that one up, although it's slightly unfortunate in how it happened.
Marco Pinto. There's plenty of options within their Spanish line out. In that game before Christmas, they were really quite dominant in this area of the game. Well, Netherlands pleased with their lot there, working hard to just derail any momentum that Spain were trying to build up.
You can see the analysis really paying off as well. Gardner would have known what was coming at them because they had it all pre-Christmas, as you say, Wardy. So practicing those deep, dark line-out skills in the freezing cold throughout January is probably what forwards love to do, to be honest. They're a weird bunch, aren't they? But it certainly paid dividends there, countered it well, got the steal at the breakdown, and then now is ball to the Netherlands, and I'm excited to see what this back line can do. They have got some gun players.
Korteweg plying his trade recently in the colours of Stirling County. Got one appearance indeed for Glasgow Warriors last season. Jurgen Goya finds his touch, but it allows the Netherlands to get into enemy territory at least.
And that's the joy of having someone so experienced, David Wiersma at 10. Slightly changed at back line, but with his experience, you know, it's about getting that possession and territory. Yes, it's a launch position, but they got in behind. This is previous clip to see how competitive these contacts are. Good line-out skills as well on show from the Spanish. But now it's a chance for the Netherlands once again to go with their attacking position.
Looking for the tail gunner, but it always was going to be a challenge. Just falling foul right at the end of its journey, the ball there.
It'll be frustrating there. Ross Benny-Colson going for the triple 20 at the back of the line out. Hardest throw to do. You've got to be so accurate. The wind took it as well, I think, with the swerve of the ball. Now we get to see the opposing team, Spanish, go once more.
Look at that shove coming on from the Netherlands pack. That's showing that they're going to take no backward step this afternoon. Jan Ruiz, one of the Bayern boys at halfback for Spain. Here he is again. More calls and gets. And in the end, it's the other Bayern boy, Manuel Ordaz, who hangs it high. Good take from Campbell. But he gets a Spanish backpack of a couple of players. Does well to set it back, and Korteweg just making sure that players are in position to go again. This is what Zane Gardner's hoping the Kiwi can bring to that game management, if you will, from the Netherlands halfbacks.
Offside number 7 in front of the kicker.
Wolf van Dijk being pinged there.
Okay. Number 7 in front of the kicker.
No, Van Dijk, he'll just be keen to try and get himself in the game. One of these players in the Rugby Europe Championship who really has impressed anyone that watches him play. Wolf by name, Wolf by nature, and he is an animal, quite literally, in the back row. But he'll be annoyed at what he's given away there. Possession back to the Spanish, and then, as we saw previously, they have a very strong driving maul. This will be something, again, the Netherlands have to try and repel, because if the Spanish get momentum here, it is going to be 5 points over the line, without a doubt.
Pinto finds the target at the tail, and immediately the red forwards put themselves around the ball. Pinto driving, and Pinto, there is he? No, not quite. Referee's trying to get himself in best position. Ruet thinking about trying to smuggle the ball underneath the ground and come up the other side of the white line. It's not going to work this time. They do go this time, and I think that's Asio Usaraga celebrating his return to national colours for the first time in 3 years, and he's on the board. Try time Spain.
Well, filling the frame of the shot, isn't he? Usaraga. You're not going to stop him this close. He's just too big, too strong, too physical. Platform been laid by that very impressive Spanish maul. Clearly they've been watching a bit of Romania and Russia as they were driving mauls aplenty, and then when you set up camp this close to the try line, it just takes that one little bit of inertia to get over the line. A nice little assist by the players alongside, driving them over the line, and Usaraga gets the first for the Spanish.
Yes, that's almost a default score for Los Leones. An important score nonetheless, as we just moved past the 10-minute mark. Psychological advantage of just seeing points on the board, always there.
Sì, ti sento ma scatti. Anche voi lo sentite a scatti, ragazzi? Sì, un po' scatti.
No problem for the Spanish fly half. Manuel Ordaz notching the extra couple of points. And the scoreboard reads in the host's favour early on in this game.
Well, if there's one lesson to be learnt there for the Netherlands, it is do not give penalties away in your own half, because not about the three-point threat, it's about the driving maul threat. The Spanish will lap that up all day.
Well, Manuel Moore unable to take that cleanly, almost blindsided by his teammate in front of him. I think Viti Sanchez jumping in front of his second row partner and having no time to recover the ball. So The Netherlands with a chance to set up an attacking position inside Spanish territory.
We've seen a couple of kicks from them so far. What I'd like to see is trying to get the likes of Jordi Hop in the game. And Van der Voort as well as take Amble. So they've got plenty of threats in their back three. But to do that, you've got to get the possession to them nice and cleanly. And that's over to the big lads up front.
Korteweg into that midfield, and Dan van der Voort scored the Netherlands' first try in that game in Amsterdam. Coming into the centres, but there's the snag from Ruet. Guillaume Ruet takes Spain up to halfway. I don't know who that was in the Netherlands side that got their hand in there, but that was crucial, but it's still there for the hosts. The charge from Captain Lopez.
There are two players failing on the breakdown. Slow ball.
Well, an incredible amount of changes of possession. First of all, it came from this sneaky little bit of play. It was mentioned about the threat of the back three. That's how you stop it. I think it perhaps is a little bit offside Rouet, but he gets away with it because he's fast off the mark. Two possession changes further, and then once again the dangerous penalty given away into Spanish hands. And then look what they want to do. They'll do this all day. They'll kick to corners. They'll be so content. Walk into this line-out, 10 feet tall, knowing it is a huge requirement for Netherlands to try and stop it. They have to try and target the ball. If they're not going to compete at the line-out, then they must try and drive them back as soon as the Spanish jumpers land. Otherwise, the time to set it up will destroy any hope they have of stopping it.
First part done. Once again, Pinto comes in to drive them all. And it is pretty much unstoppable, isn't it? He's down, he's over the line. Well, the referee is going to ask Emmanuel Tomo to confirm this.
Well, at one point, I thought Neki was joining in. The referee was all over it.
Okay. Yeah, time off, please. Time off.
Here he
There's
is.
an inevitability
Having
to
a
this
look around.
score, isn't there?
And then he jumps in. There we go. Try assist for the referee.
T doesn't mean try on this occasion, but I suspect that's what we're going to end up with.
Yeah, I imagine so. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it, to stop it that well formed. Let's hear what he says.
Okay. Okay, captains, we are checking for grounding. You have an advantage for in the side blue. So anyway, it's penalty kick.
Well, penalty try
Penalty advantage
would mean there'd be a yellow
Well,
card.
you would think so, wouldn't you?
Okay, captain, just checking if there is.
Totally.
Mind you, who are you going to give it to?
Come back to a PK for number 8.
We've got a number for who came in at the side.
Number 8. Yeah.
Angle. Hopefully it's not Van Dijk. He is loitering at that side.
Okay, Matteo, dimmi tu. Emanuele. Ok, perfetto. Calci in posizione qui. Ok, no try, side entry number 8. Side entry.
How's that just a penalty?
Push.
Well, it kind of proved itself in what actually happened after the initial offence, but referee Neki is happy to let play go again.
Well, someone's very lucky there, because for me, that is a penalty try all day. If you come into the side and stop it that close to the line, the inevitable action would have been the score.
Here we go again. But this time,
Not
the
straight.
throw is not straight.
Option, captain. Scrum. Scrum call.
Well, Dirk Dunham was the man having the finger pointed at him. The Netherlands captain will be relieved, shall we say?
Yeah, I thought the Spanish were a bit hasty there. This is a fair shot. Dan van der Voort finding the game. And then after a couple more turnovers in the middle, the Spanish getting their driving ball going. Such a threat, isn't it? We're going to keep mentioning it because it's what wins them games. But core possession, all important. And now a scrum in dangerous territory for the Netherlands.
Visiting pack doing well to hold on there. CLL trying to bust the red line to just give the Netherlands a bit more room to manoeuvre, albeit inside their own 22.
Use it, Blue. Use. Back.
Clearance kick from the Netherlands scrum half, Korteweg, but back comes Spain. Facundo Dominguez into the number 8 shirt this afternoon. Played in the open side position in that earlier game. And there's a little break from Ordaz, feeds on to Usaraga again. And once again, Spain approaching the 22. Ordaz just taking his eye off the ball, getting a little excited. And it's interesting to see the Spanish TV focusing on the number 10. Made his debut against Portugal a year ago now. And everybody was, wow, 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 this is going to be great. But then he disappeared in the following 2 games. To see him produce this inside the first quarter is just what the home fans were hoping for.
Yeah, exactly, Wardy. I think the only downside is there were about 4 players to the left of him. If he did catch that one at the end, it'd have been a walking out wide. So both positive and negative in equal measure there, such as life as a fly half. You judge by the outcomes, and that was a bit of a simple knock-on. So very much a let-off for the Netherlands. Bit of a conversation with the referee about this subsequent scrum.
With the camera up there. That's not clear. Ripetimi mano, scusami.
When you look at the table from last year's championship, Spain finishing outside the top 3 of the Rugby Europe Championship for the first time since 2016. So vital that they get themselves a win. They've got 14 points. They need to be pressing on from the word go and making the most of that home advantage. As I said, they played 3 games away last season, which means 3 games at home this season. 12 points they have in 4th place, 2 points behind Portugal. Romania, of course, took the win earlier on this afternoon against Russia. But it's a very careful case of walking before they run. Coming up to the end of this first quarter, and just that solitary try on the scoreboard. But all the pressure coming from the hosts.
Inside. Stay. Use it inside.
Korteweg utilising that box kick clearance. Mignon in great position to take and retaliate. John Sabala, the Bezier tight head, happy to get hands on the ball, passing not quite accurate enough then from Ordaz. You can see how happy those forwards are to come around the corner with intent, get their hands on the ball and make a difference in open play. Penalty again. Rouet goes. Rouet gets the offload. It's there for Jordi Jorba. Oh, the pass inside isn't accurate enough, and Mora can't pick up the scraps. And that is a huge moment gone at the end of this first quarter. Wowee.
Oh, the crowd absolutely loving that energy, and rightly so. That was 100 miles per hour rugby. What a play initially from Rouet, just tapping and going, saw the chance, out he went. Then that ball offloaded brilliantly out wide. You think the supporting play will be there or thereabouts, but just goes slightly too far in front of the hooker Pinto, and then the despairing dive for Mora, not able to keep hold of the ball. But this is what you want from your 9. Taps it, off he goes, bouncing around, right foot step, gets in there, gets the offload, keeps it alive. Scintillating stuff from Jorba, just can't quite finish it off. Spain so close. 90% of this rugby, it seems, has been in the Netherlands 22, yet still just 7 points on the board remain. What play from the Spanish.
Just see the way that the scrum half is the metronome of a team. We know it in various different situations, but Guillaume Rouet, yeah, we will stick with Rouet. It's interesting, the Spanish told me it was Rouet, but of course, born in France, we know That's how they pronounce it there. So we'll stick with Rouet for this afternoon. But Rouet has such an eye for the way, or a feel, should we say, for the way that the game's going and when it needs picking up the pace. And you saw it from the Bayern scrum half there. And my goodness me, they should have made more of that one.
And it's some decision, isn't it? Because you know with a penalty you can kick to touch. And as we're countlessly saying whenever Spain play a game of 15s, it's their driving maul that is their real weapon. So if you are going to tap it, something has to come of it. Otherwise you get 8 pretty gnarly people staring your way. I think he's really stepping it well. Ordaz, as you mentioned before, is still inconsistent in his play. He needs to get his handling skills improved and play with a bit more confidence because his 9 is leading the way at the moment.
Visma back in position to make the clearance. The ball skills in the crowd, getting some adulation and appreciation.
I hope he headed it.
Oh,
There he did.
yeah,
Excellent
John.
stuff.
He did. Good man.
There we
That's
go.
going to hurt. Yeah, you can take the claps now, but that's going to hurt in the morning.
Hey, already in this game, we're seeing some brilliant content, aren't we? Referee driving mauls, Spanish player fans heading the ball like one of their footballing brethren. What scenes here in Madrid?
Oh, handling just letting Spain down there. I think it was Mora was going high for that one. And a let-off for the Netherlands.
Hands off. Advantage over.
You see how the Netherlands backline is happy to move the ball even inside their own 22. Now the forwards taking a more direct exit. Ball comes loose to Spain.
Away, captain.
Kabala. Roy gets the call from Usaraga. Bayern teammates, of course, in the Pro de Deux. Ball goes loose and it's fallen into Dutch hands. Benny Coulson providing the focus for the release.
Lopez is down.
Didn't see that, Rob, did you?
Yeah, face shot. Hopefully he'll be all right. He's holding his nose.
Yeah. Rip begin at the beginning. After there is a knock on. See.
Let's see if we see that
There he is.
here.
The old forearm to the head. That wasn't actually what he went down for. Oh, it was. All right. It was slightly bizarre that he can manage to appeal it and then go down on his knee. Don't like to see that. The forearm was actually significant. I think this will be looked at. But the subsequent actions, that's not on either.
It's Ross Benny Coulson, the Netherlands hooker, I think was the protagonist.
Yeah, I think he's going to be in trouble
on
here.
the other side.
So one thing that referees and certainly sighting officers are looking out for is the detaching of the arm from the body. If it's seen to be a leading forearm, he's going to get in trouble. I understand that. I also think there needs to be a serious word with Fernando Lopez, because you cannot shout at the referee and then decide you're going to go on your knee afterwards for an injury.
He's going to go over to
So
the
he's
screen
finding
and
his
look
way.
at this.
Have a little look at the sat-nav at the side of the pitch. Uses the way.
Okay.
There he is. Get the iPad
Hope
out.
he's on the right channel.
Other tablets are available.
Well,
So
you know from
the things to
your
look for.
disciplinary stuff, Rob,
Yeah.
exactly what they're looking for here.
And it is that detaching. If a player remains high in front of you, it's a difficult situation to be in because you have to prepare for contact. So what most players do is get your handoff ready, and the fend is usually with a straight arm. But because it's his carrying arm, he's seen to throw that forward, almost like he's got a shield in front of him is the best analogy. So if the contact is with his forearm to the head, then it will be a potential red card. So you can see he carries, his opposing arm then comes up, and if the elbow is seen to hit the head, which we can't see from that angle, then that's an issue. For me, the more concerning point is that reaction, because that's more for a round game than it is an overall game.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. It looked like the initial contact hit the chest bone, And indeed,
Yeah.
when Lopez went down, that was the area he was clutching, but it was a little dramatic, to say the least.
Well, I hope it is mentioned. This must be new school props, Gordy. You wouldn't get many loose heads doing that
Oh,
in any other era.
Chiaramente il braccio che si stacca e va in avanti a colpire Manuel.
It can be bad though when you do get your throat hit. It does hurt, and also.
but it wasn't his throat. It wasn't his throat, was it?
No.
It was his chest, and that's
No.
where he was holding. I would understand
You
it
just
if
need
it was
the shot from
higher.
behind.
Diretto, perfetto. Il primo contatto probabilmente è sulla parte alta del petto. Sei d'accordo? Ah, non sono d'accordo. Sì.
This
Ok,
may give us a
va-
better
va poi a
shot.
colpire il collo, no, se no parliamo solo di un calcio di punizione.
You're just
This is
seeing some
early
highlights
on.
from the game.
Va sul collo, poi Emanuele o no?
Lovely take. This is good bit footwork. Get in behind.
Sì. C'è.
Nice
Ok, quindi il primo
Manuel.
contatto è sul petto, poi si alza e va al collo. So,
Contact
we
on the
have here
chest.
is foul play by number 2 blue. He's leading with the elbow. The first contact is on the upper chest of the red player, and then the elbow slips up. So to me, is yellow card against number 2 blue. Do you agree? Ok. Esatto, mi sa che era più o meno sulla linea dei 5.
That was well explained from the officials.
Captain and number 2, please. We got a leading with the elbow. Okay. Yeah, we got leading with the elbow. The elbow is detached from your body. The first contact is on the upper chest, and then it slips up. So it is a yellow card penalty here. Okay.
Well, the first yellow card of this one. It was a problem in that last game. They had half an hour with a man down.
Okay. Leading with the
Ross
elbow.
Benny Coulson is going to sit out the next 10. With your powdered wig and gavel on, is that the right call?
Yeah, I think so. I think the way the referees were talking about it, initial contact with the chest, then went up to the head. My biggest problem with this whole scenario is if that play remains high in front of you, what are you going to do? World Rugby have brought in these measures to protect the tackler, not the carrier. So if they're going to remain high, that's what World Rugby need to do something about more of than the carrier, who has to try and protect himself. But if there's no one there in front of him, he doesn't have to get his elbow up. It's chicken and egg, really.
Netherlands, a man down, and the big man at that, desperately trying to stop the flow of the red pack. Roy getting in there, just weighing up, but I don't think Pinto's going to give that ball up easily. Turn circle, has he got the ball down? The ball's down. Who's coming up with it? Is it Rue?
Esatto.
I think it is. Pinto with the early skirmish, and then I think it was Rue who got through to grab the glory from the hooker.
Certainly looks like he's got ball in hand there, and that's exactly the problem. You're going to lose an extra man in your forward pack for what's already a difficult scenario to try and stop this marauding Spanish pack. To do so with 7, just too much of a tough ask. The dynamism, the movement, the control of the ball from the Spanish, that's why you're seeing smiles on faces.
Ah, ok, va bene. Noi invece ti
And the yellow card immediately costing the visitors.
Non ti ho sentito e probabilmente va un po' scatti.
Presumably this is going to be a 7-pointer. Manuel Ordaz lining up the conversion.
Perfetto, grazie.
No problems. 14-0, Spain leading. We've got just over a quarter of an hour to go until the turnaround.
Ordaz, comfortable with the boot, just needs to get a bit more comfortable with ball in hand, because if he does get singing and getting their backline going, then this is going to be a formidable position for the Spanish to be in.
The breakout from Alvaro Jimeno. Talking cards, of course, he received a red card at the end of that game in Amsterdam. Seen out his
Use it 9.
3-match ban.
No, one. Now one, stop.
And not had much rugby since, but
Now you do stop. You do
very
stop.
popular with players and fans alike, El Cid.
First
Of
snap.
course, from a
Second
big
one.
rugby family,
No, no, no.
well known
No, no,
in
no, no, no.
Spanish
I
rugby
was there,
circles.
I was there, and I was looking the both of you. No, it is legal, and you stop now.
Well, lots of rugby on show for Spanish rugby, which is great to see, isn't it? I'd say the 2 weeks in Andalusia and then this in Madrid. Fans love it. They want to see more of it. Not quite executed in the air from the ever-threatening Jimeno.
Yeah, Dunn and Jimeno going up
Time,
at exactly the same time there, and the ricochet working for the Netherlands.
let me see.
Presumably they've got to make the substitution now.
Time back on.
Just going to take
Yeah,
the blind side
Christopher
flank off,
Raymond.
usually the way.
Yeah,
Clever though, because sometimes forward packs forget to put someone at the base. You can see Danan staying at the back, the number 8 to control the ball. It means there is going to be a bit of a slant to this pack, so it is going to be 8 against 7.
Crouch.
And if the Spanish do get a good shove on, then Danan will have to play away very quickly, or they could find this being turned over.
To reset. Just to reset.
In the context of this game, it would actually be worthwhile sacrificing a back to put on the blind side, because what's going to be essentially a 16, 17 stone advantage, 100 odd kilograms plus,
Yeah, we go there.
then the Spanish might well get a penalty from this. They almost think, oh, we'll secure the ball first without thinking about a launch play for the back. So, interesting tactic. Like I say, Danan stays at number 8. You can see he's at the base of the scrum, but no 6. So there's a significant disadvantage for this scrum for the Netherlands.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
and you can see the pressure coming on. Dunn does well to pick up the scraps there and just save that, but the turnover is there for Los Leones. Just get feeling Spain are looking to really up the ante now as Ordaz slides through a gap, gets the ball back for his halfback partner. The pass isn't clever, and it's Minguillon having to pick up the bouncing ball. He's moored up. There's a number 4 on his back, but quite happy playing in the back row as well in his younger years. Good read there. I think it was Van Dijk. Wolf Van Dijk
yeah.
stepping
Very good
out
read.
to put pressure on the ball carrier.
See?
Another man down.
Fair few. Shows the physicality of this. This is Van Dijk trying to close down the space, and it was brilliantly done. As soon as he puts a bit of heat on Jimeno, the ball back on the inside to his centre partner was forward. It's a good defensive skill set from the Netherlands. But going back to that scrum, so case in point, why you need to put 8 men in. This is a nice outcome for them, but again they're going to go to a scrummage where they're 1 man down. You need to put 8 in and just play tight, especially with the injury
We have to go.
to Zabalat.
Time back on.
So changes in both front rows. There's Jean Merkler. Massive man. Look at the size of him. Plays over in Toulouse with the Espoir at the moment. So a relative youngster, comes from the Barcelona area, even though he does have an English father.
Yeah, leave it red.
That is some opposition, Vix, isn't it?
Yeah, you can tell he's massive because he's got about 8 lines in the back of his head. That's not something you want to be seeing from a prop, is it?
Crouch.
Let's see how they go. Now they have put Jordi Hop on the left side of the scrum, which is Van der Voort.
There is no space.
He's on the left side, so they've tried to level it up with 8 on 8,
Bigger space, please.
knowing you're not going to have expertise of anyone pushing on the side of a scrum that knows what they're doing, but at least it just makes that weight parity.
Hugo Langeland, the loose head on this side, just weighing up the slightly different challenge he faces now. Michael Imbaud, member of the Ealing Trailfinders Club in West London. No doubt they'll be watching this one with interest.
Crouch.
The Dutch
Bind.
hooker
Set.
goes head to head with Merkler. Safe ball produced for the visitors. Campbell Gets the ball out, the little chip and chase from Jordy Hop. Suddenly it bursts out. First time we've really seen the Dutch backline spark.
And how good is this man, Jordy Hop, continuing to impress, bounces through that first one, gets the ball on the foot, such a skill set to do whilst running at pace. Unfortunately doesn't quite get the bounce as he'd like and does hit his hand as it goes off, but that just shows the threat of both Tay Campbell and Jordy Hop. They didn't have their left winger in that launch play, yet still the Netherlands end up making some 40 yards from that break. Dangerous back three. That is definitely their strength.
Quick line out from Spain, and suddenly they're bursting out through Usaraga.
Clean out is good.
Score of that first try.
Stop right in front. Stop now.
Clearance from Audas. Yes, Hop thankfully recovered from that calf injury that was such a problem for him. Spent 3 years in school in South Africa. And has obviously benefited from that education, both in terms of academia and rugby, no doubt. Half an hour gone, 14 points to the good. Well, I wouldn't want to guess that one.
The number, guys.
Maud with his first line out.
Yes, I know.
And a few scrums to warm himself up. Safe take from Van Leeuwen. Coming towards the end of that sin bin now. And you just get the feeling that the Netherlands could do with some points on the board just to galvanise their processes, to reinforce their confidence. Luis Brensma, well known in Spanish circles. He actually grew up in Barcelona, played for Spanish 18s and 20s. There he is with the major mullet. You haven't grown your mullet yet then, Rob?
No, sadly not. I'm not cool enough to put it on. Just stay away from that with the standard haircut for the last 15 years. But this is what the Spanish have done really well in this game, just using their size and dominance at either breakdown or set piece to control it. Unfortunately, haven't made touch. So fingers crossed we may well see some time where the Netherlands get into Spanish territory.
Guillaume finds a good angle on that, but doesn't find touch. Hop slides into the contact, but the ball is still there for his teammates on their own 10-metre line. Bismuth calling the shots. Nice little layoff from Van Dijk. Talking to Shane Gardner on Thursday night. He was hoping that the balance of this back row would allow Van Dijk to show himself around the pitch a little bit more rather than just a scavenging open side that he had to become in previous games.
Just a fantastic rugby player all round, isn't he? He's got that athleticism. Looks like a centre, quite naturally carrying the ball out wide. The little goose step, the chancing the 2-on-1 out wide. Nice confidence shown from him. Actually thought he could maybe just carry and get that fend out to try and help out Van der Voort on the side. But no, he chose to carry on. And now the 10-minute sin bin is over, much to the relief of this Netherlands pack.
It's just that try from Rouet as a penalty for the Netherlands. Langelaan, the white rhino, as they call him in the group. fit and able to return.
I know, but you have to go there.
A lot of talk has been made of some of the new names that Zane Gardner is bringing in. Willy Leroux, one of them, the playmaker from Mont-de-Marsan. Unfortunately, COVID restrictions in France have just held that in bay, hoping to get him back for some of the later games. Peter Leiden, another one as well. I think you will know fairly well from championship days. Good kicker as he was, and then went over to Stade Francais, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Sloppy from the Netherlands.
there's an introduction of experience that I think Gardner is well aware that his team need as they're moving up the levels.
Yeah, but watching this will frustrate him. You know, clearly set-piece play, shortened line-out, trying to get their back row into it with the first initial carry and then play off the back of that. But it's just not slick, it's not flowing like the Spanish seem to be going around the corner much easier. Their ball is faster. Netherlands really find it hard to contest this breakdown, and that's all the Spanish are looking to do. Get over it, slow it down, try and out-muscle the Netherlands, and you can see why they've struggled against them in past seasons, and certainly their last fixture before Christmas. So I think this is going to be a real lesson for the Netherlands in the first 40 and how they can try and get some sort of stronghold in this game.
Again, you look at the stats from the first game, they only had 12 minutes with the ball in the entire match. I would think they've upped that a bit, but defensively they've really been put to task here. Rui. Well, that's a really good cover from Jordi Holt. My goodness me, he had to move quickly to cover the gap at the back there. Van Dijk steps in as the feed. I think what's good from a Spanish perspective, you've seen the flow of their game move a lot quicker, and as a consequence they seem to have got more width on their attacking game.
Well, everything becomes easier with fast ball. So the type of game the Spanish are trying to play, just round the corner, moving it, it plays into the hands of having a 9 and 10 who want to be flat running with it. So Rui is controlling the tempo, Ordas is benefiting from it. They haven't played a hugely expansive game in terms of throwing the ball wide early. They've really gone through the first couple of channels because the ball is just so fast. Conversely, what you're seeing in any type of contest that the Netherlands are taking the ball in, they're getting manhandled, and this pace then just completely slows down. Usagaraga straight over it. He's been a real presence in pain. This is what typifies this first half. Spain running amok when they want to because they've got that tempo.
Well, line out not working, and Van Dijk picks up an unexpected present into the final 5 minutes of this first half, and the visitors desperately looking for something on the scoreboard before they turn around. Campbell finding no way through there. Van Aert still in that playmaker role, so I'm assuming that Varenka's day is done. And I haven't heard officially that he's failed his HIA, but presumably that's going to be a permanent change now. Rui and Ordas. Spain just building up a head of steam for another score before the break. And there's the big man. Merkler pulled down just short. Ball presentation is good. Referee in superb position to call that one. I think it was Usagaraga who was on the end of it.
Well, that's quality defence. It's Cialau held that one up over the line, which we're going to see the new law variation going to drop out from underneath the sticks. But that really shows why the Spanish are having success. Their line speed sees them get yet another interception. And because they're flying out and winning that collision behind the gain line, the Spanish forwards are constantly moving forward. And that is such a benefit to these big men.
Menguion, Yoriak, winger, always looked dangerous with ball in hand, given the opportunity. And he's had more opportunity in this first half than we've seen for quite a while in national colours. More up. Good leg strength from the big second row. Trundling away, and suddenly the burst is from Usagaraga. The alarm bells ringing in the Netherlands camp because here comes another try. Jordi Jorba, third try on the ball, and you have to say Spain thoroughly deserved that.
Yeah, absolutely. The Spanish looking just as content without the ball as they are with it. And as a result, Jordi Jorba Gets that fast ball, gets outside the big man, but what a carry it was initially from the previous try scorer, Usaraga. That's the finish of it all, but it started just with the pace of the Spanish team. The big guys up front carrying, creating chaos, and the fragmented defence on the back of it means the Netherlands are just nowhere near in trying to stop that play. Brilliant from Spanish, as they have been building for this for the last 10 minutes. Really look threatening, and their defence is their foundation at the moment.
Well, that score really has got the crowd buzzing. Yes, it's no surprise, I guess, that Spain are leading when you see where the Netherlands have come from and are on their way to, but their journey is way behind the other teams in this tournament. Gordas cannot find the target though on this occasion.
Thanks.
But as I say, it's the way that Los Leones have worked. Surely Sanchez will be more than happy with the way that this first 40 minutes has played out. Last play of the first half. You may not.
Inside.
Gordas. And this is the confidence now within the Spanish ranks. Looking to run from their own 22. There's try scorer Jorba. Not going anywhere on that occasion. And there is the half-time whistle to send the players back to the changing rooms. Spain dominating the scoreboard and in many ways dominating that first half. Their structure's good. Their patience good as well to get through so many phases. Rob, they've got to, you would think the Netherlands would have to change things up, but it's difficult when you have a team as dominant as Spain have been in that first half.
Yeah, dominant underline on that one, Wardy. They've got the line speed, they're hitting their collisions, they're winning those and been a real menace at that breakdown. The set piece is solid enough to be their foundation from it all. The Spanish tactics are simple, they're effective, they're incredibly efficient, and as a result, the Netherlands have really struggled. They're going to have to take this half-time to reassess, to work out how they're going to try and get around this oppressive defence from the Spanish, and hopefully get a chance for both their back row and back three to feature somewhat in this next 40 minutes.
Yeah, 3 tries to the good, the home side. Los Leones in charge of this one. Half-time, they lead 19 points to 0.
Ya tiempo de descanso, empezamos por dar las gracias a los patrocinadores que nos acompañan. Ahora, por supuesto, a Renfe, al que damos la bienvenida de nuevo a la Federación Española de Rugby. Y por supuesto con Nederlan, patrocinador de la Federación Española de Rugby, que gracias a nuestro patrocinador que apoya el rugby y a sus valores, esfuerzo, superación, compromiso, honor, respeto y trabajo en equipo. Nederlan, contigo todos. Y ya todo queda preparado para que arranque la segunda parte. España 19, Países Bajos 0.
Yes, I've noticed, but the ball is kind of quick enough.
Three tries before the turnaround, much as they did in Amsterdam 49 days ago. It's certainly gone the way that all their home fans would have hoped, certainly the style with which they're playing as well. I'm Simon Ward. Alongside me for this one, former England Sevens captain Rob Vickerman. From a Dutch perspective, well, psychologically, you know, they just need to get something on the board just to get some sort of reward for their efforts. It's been tough going because such is the way that Spain have been playing. Simple, efficient, effective stuff, and then happy to get width on the ball.
Yeah, half-time, a great time to reassess. I'm sure the Netherlands conversations around, well, how do we try and get the upper hand in this arm wrestle that is coming at us? And the Spanish really have dictated that well. They've controlled the tempo, the pace, the contacts of this game. And they've started this second half, as you'd expect, with the degree of their foundation of set piece coming to the fore. So it's going to be difficult for the Netherlands, but they can't let the Spanish dictate the tempo all the time.
And that was what Zane Gardner was well aware of when I spoke to him during the week, of the stamina issues that his side have got, some of which are professional, but many are amateur stroke semi-pro, and just beginning to build up those tanks. Of course, it's been such a rush since they had that game against Belgium in Waterloo. When was that? The end of May. They've done a lot of work in trying to build things around. I know the World Rugby have been looking to support them. Your old mate Phil Davis has been in and around the camp trying to set realistic targets, provide the extra resources that Gardner and his coaching crew will need in order to be able to improve. But it is a slow process, Rob, isn't it? It's one that's going to take patience. It's one that's going to take time.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we're talking about the Netherlands here with 15,000 players, 96 clubs. It's not a massive entity in terms of its rugby output, so it needs to have this progression and really look at this long term. But ultimately, playing in fixtures like this is exactly what they need. They're going to build on it. They've got the Super Cup to fall back on. So not only the exposure this game will get for their players and also for rugby as a sport, it's about attracting the younger generations through getting the pathways involved and expanding this network of rugby, which, to be fair to Spain, is exactly what they've done. 25% growth in licenses across the last 12 months for the Spanish Rugby Union. And that's what you get when you have this level of competition and people seeing the product firsthand.
Yeah, I don't think you can underestimate the value of that Super Cup for putting a vital step into the rugby pyramid for these countries, for the players of these countries to be able to step up from club rugby to the Super Cup and from thence into the international arena. It is vital that they can actually learn and see what is needed, what is required at this level of the game. Certainly the National Academy, well, that both countries have put in, particularly in the Netherlands. Gareth Gilbert back in the coaching ranks for the national team, but he was principal amongst turning things around, really. If I say saving, that's probably too much, but certainly being principal amongst the resetting of the Netherlands rugby strategy and the firmament in which they worked in. And now those guys like Andy Darlington there getting the chance to actually build and build towards the international world, and that of course is what we all crave, what we all hope they can assess. There's no threat, we're told, that no threat of relegation this year. I'm told that there is going to be an expansion to 8 teams for next season. That will be a good thing for all concerned. Right now, I'm trying to get some sort of foothold in this game as Dominguez shows his footballing skills. Rouet clears the ball, but the penalty call was there. Audace goes quickly. Little offload to Minguillon, and then there's the bonus point score. Suddenly Spain put their foot on the accelerator and they are gone. Great score, Rob.
Oh, that is fantastic. That really does typify this game and the success the Spanish have had from it. Utter dominance up front. We're talking about a scrum almost walking backwards. That then laid the foundation for the tap to go. Audace, off he went. 2 passes later, Julian Hoyer gets over. And he has been fantastic, the 12. You can see him track the ball in behind here. There's the tap. Off they go. Audace with a nice little step. Keeps that ball alive. The second ball kept alive. And as the centre partnership's working so well. Great stuff for Spain.
I wouldn't want to disagree with the graphics, but I think that was Fabien Perrin. Was it Jimeno? One of the centres on hand now.
I did think it was
with
Jimeno.
That scoreboard. It was, wasn't it? It was him, the inside centre, I think.
Like him.
Certainly in the right place at the right time. Audace adds the extras, and the scoreboard keeps ticking.
1, 2, 3.
Front row replacement for Los Leones.
Just wait a second, please.
Well, credit will go to the backs for scoring it, but that was out and out forwards with the upper hand up front.
Okay, in your time.
Yeah, all those front rowers getting due reward for their 6 minutes that they've played since the break.
No.
Never quite understood why front rows seem to get changed
Play on.
so quickly after the turnaround. But, overhead of
Into the breakdown.
Merkler and Vandenberg off the bench.
Well, teed up perfectly now for this second half. Said about how well the Spanish have worked in that first 45 minutes to give them this platform. They have a chance now of really cutting loose. Because they have the upper hand defensively, they're closing down the space of any time the Netherlands have the ball. Conversely, when they have it, they are running riot by just winning those collisions, keeping that ball alive and playing enterprising, efficient offloading rugby. The fans here are going to be treated, I am sure, for the next 35 minutes. And the Spanish team will want to make sure they do put on a performance that keeps them entertained and engaged in this great sport.
As I mentioned earlier, you've had a fortnight out in Spain. What did you find about Spanish rugby, Rob?
Well, the passion's there. The fans were loving it. And clearly Sevens a slightly different variant, but still has energy both on the pitch and off it. The Spanish Sevens is another great platform that's growing. And when they get out of just the 4 regions of Spain and start entering territories like Andalusia, potentially they're going to be a great product in the game of rugby.
Well, they're certainly now showing their attacking prowess at seemingly every moment. With the outcome of this game, you would think pretty much sorted right now. Suddenly the flow is there. That Fold's unable to keep that one in, but you can just see the width and the confidence which Los Leones are now playing.
And conversely, seeing it absolutely expire in the Netherlands. Like, there's players in that team that are outstanding individual players, but they've not had chance because of the pressure coming on from the Spanish defence. I still think, with a certain degree of hope, that the Netherlands backline can get firing and Vish was able to unleash the likes of Geordie Hop and Take Ample, because they are great players to see with ball in hand. But rugby's a game where you can control the territory and dominance of your opposition, and at the moment the Netherlands just haven't had that chance.
The mark is here, on the left, please, of the mark. Okay.
Well, if my numbering is right. That's the entrance of Mathieu Belli, who has made his international return after that problem that Spain had that effectively knocked them out of the, well, of qualifying for the Rugby World Cup 2019. And now he's back. It's all legit. World Rugby have said, yes, you can play for Spain. And he's on for his 15th cap.
No 10 meters, Spain. Number 6. Still a free kick. No.
Looking, I'm
Now
not sure there's
10 and then you can play. But it's still
Bautista Juemes swapped shirts. There's changes for the Dutch about to happen.
okay.
Yeah, the stamina issue, the energy efficiency is something that Gardner and co are really well aware of, and how to find the gears and drop the gears at the right time in order that you don't run out of juice before the full-time whistle. And that is something that the Netherlands are really having to work on, really having to play with. Much as that, you know, that it's a big competition, of course it is, but you know, they've got half an hour left of this game. Yes, they're going to utilise some of those bench players now to add some impetus, or try to add impetus to their game. They have got to manage the game as well as they can, and that's where Korteweg and Wiersma and Mees van Oort as well have really got to use their tactics wisely.
You mentioned about fatigue, just to pick up on that, Wardy, you're exactly right. But it is through playing. Individually, these players are just as big, just as fast, just as strong as some of the top international players. I mean, look at the back row, for example. You've basically got, you know, players that can contest against any other team, but it's just playing an 80-minute game of rugby at this intensity more and more, which is still very much a new thing for this Netherlands team. So that is what can really throw you off. And the more they do it, the better they'll get.
Yep. The Netherlands, the tallest nation in the world. There, bet you didn't know that.
I did know that, yes, because South Africa would be second on the back of it.
Yeah, the men average 6 feet tall and the women 5'7", apparently. Useless stat. Right. Netherlands are going to have to go from their own try line, of course, with the restart.
It's little moments like that where you really see that little bit of inexperience. Yeah, thinking that that's the right option to take the tap in the in-goal area to get the drop out. But then you've got 13 of your players in front of you. So their tempo has completely gone out of the game. All they're going to be doing now is territorially kicking to the Spanish to get the ball back in the Netherlands half. And then it all builds again. So it's very much a case of trying to just slowly hack at this Spanish team to get further down into their territory, which at the moment just isn't happening. I mean, the heat map from that first half must have been about 95% in the Netherlands quarter, it felt.
Yes, it certainly was a dominant first 40. It's been a dominant 52, really, from Spain. Gardner looking to see whether those substitutions can change the flow of this game, but really the way that Spain are working on and off the ball. You see Mark Coburg wearing the 9 shirt on as replacement. There's Lodi Bush, made his debut in that Belgium game back in May.
Are you the captain now?
He's 20 years old, the young tight head.
I stay on your side. Okay. The mark.
Small tight head as well, relatively. This is going to be a very interesting battle.
It's a Tom Smith, Paul Wallace type front row, isn't it, for those that remember the Lions of way back when? Especially when you've got Mr. Merkler on the other side.
Bind. Set.
Big pressure coming through from the Spanish 8. Coburg doing well to get it clear. Audace and Mignon unable to combine at the back though.
Yes, penalty.
Yeah, one of rugby's strangest laws. you can be in front of a player and then do deemed offside from that. So off the Netherlands go.
Up to the 22 for the first time, I think, in this second half. Dennis van Dijken, second row replacement, just getting slightly, well, he wasn't isolated, but I think it was on board.
Side entry 16.
Yes, indeed, the
Still on his
replacement
feet
of
when he's
being
now.
pinged.
He has to come from the gate. Okay. Here is the mark, please. Era chiaro in TV.
That's how you stop inertia, isn't it? They've just essentially put a blanket over the fire. Whenever the Netherlands seem to be having any type of inroad or momentum into this game, the Spanish are just able to snuff it out by stealing that ball. So physical. And it's doing it in the right places.
Time off front row.
Yeah, you're absolutely
The highlights
right,
for
Robert.
Rodas.
Yeah, you can see how much of a focus of attention he is in this game. Yeah, it was Jimeno to finish things off for that fourth try.
I really hope this doesn't
Yes, much.
dismiss this confidence that the Netherlands have really been growing into. This Rugby European Championship clearly not that well for them last year, losing all their games, but they had that will and intent to play. And it's only when you play against opposition such as the Spanish that it can get smothered and you lose it. But they shouldn't lose hope with it. This is just a team that are more used to playing at a higher level, a high intensity, and collectively together for longer. And that's clearly been obvious in how they've played the game.
Yeah, spot on, and it's inevitable that they are going to take, you know, big losses. They've got to be resilient to that and know that the bigger picture, the evolution that they're trying to work their way through will come good at some point. Of course, it may not help next weekend because they've got, what have they got next weekend? They've got Visit of Georgia to Amsterdam, which, yes, will be its own unique challenge, no doubt. Right now, they're desperately trying to put out the fires that are coming around the Spanish flanks. As once again, Spain get onto the front foot with a certain amount of venom in their attacking play now. Just see them sprinting around the corner, all wanting to get their hands on the ball. Here they go. On one, Matt Folds pulled down just short. Replacement of Halo getting involved. Dominguez. Oh, turnover ball. No, it's not. It's there for Merkler just when they thought it was safe. Offside call is there. Overhead, just short. Usaraga. Try score in that first half, looking for something again in this second. Merkler. Quick presentation, quick ball, and it is Audas. That'll please the TV director. Manuel Audas on the end of the line, the glory boy, getting a 5-pointer.
Well, such is the pace of this game now for the Spanish. It looks like it's a semi-opposed team run. They are generating a rapid ball. The players are flooding around the corner, and it is just a procession of execution. Lovely short line runners, perhaps getting impeding, see allowed, but either way, you get that momentum when you're going forward. That is a most fabulous 2 minutes of play from the Spanish. Nothing that Netherlands could do at all to stop it. It was coming in from all angles. A despairing dive where it almost looks like he KOs himself. Audas celebrating what has been a bit of a mesmeric display from him after a bit of a shaky 15.
Yep, it's not looking good right now for all those supporting the Orange, much as they're playing in blue this afternoon. Audas unable to add the extras, but really it's an irrelevance now with the way that this game is flowing. It's a tsunami of an attack that the Netherlands must feel like they're trying to staunch. Roy has done his lot. Best part of an hour for the Bayern scrum half, and yeah, look at the smile. Great take, and the release is there, and here comes Spain once again. Menguion sets it back. Munir in as the feed now. Oh, the jump interception from Jordi Hop was vital just to give the Netherlands a chance to breathe.
Number one Netherlands sub.
It's what you want to be seeing. Almost 1 to 15 before it. Into play on the right hand side. Just trying to close it down. Getting in the way of Perrin and his pass.
That one. No,
That's pretty special play from Spain there. They've got that swagger, they've got that confidence and belief system from a team that have clearly impressed in Madrid.
Langeland being replaced by Robin Wooner.
Marcus here.
Well, as they say, any experience is good experience, but this is a tough
Just stay there, don't step. Marcus here.
hour that the Dutch have been through thus far, and you get the feeling it's not going to get any easier. Tommy Munir, the Bezier scrum half, ready with the feed.
Bind. Set. Took it Netherlands.
Munir with a little offload out the back door. Perrin, just losing the ball in the contact. I think, in fact, it was the tackle from Dan van den Voort that knocked it clear. But Spain now seemingly in unstoppable mode, Rob.
13 Spain sub.
Yeah, typified by Dirk Danham, one of the most impressive defenders for the Netherlands, getting pushed away. That sparked a nice little bit of play from the Spanish forwards, again interlinking. Just unfortunately, their centre, Perrin, not able to get that last ball free. Might be his last action here in Madrid. But what a procession it has been. I mean, still 20 minutes left on the clock, but it's hard to see anything other than a continued whitewash for the Spanish. Defensive display on point from the 13. But this has been a game from 1 to 15 that's truly dominant from the Spanish so far. Just hope for this next 20 minutes there is still that degree of competitiveness we have yet to see in this second half.
And I think we now do have Mathieu Belli. I think he's wearing 23, not what we were shown. Clemens in the fly half role at 22, there you can see.
No, boys. Guys, on this side, you are ready in. Okay. On
So the
on
international
this side,
journey
yeah, you can
of
take a
Belli is rebooted. Yeah, for a side like the Netherlands, Rob, games like this are all about ticks in maybe smaller boxes than they are for any other team. But it's difficult to find any boxes you would think at the moment that have really been ticked.
Yeah, that's perhaps a frustration. Certainly the coach is looking on. Gardner will be thinking, right, we want to be contestable at this level. How can we go about doing it? It's going to take a long time to improve a scrum, but that's certainly one area to look at. The driving line-out's been a real weapon for the Spanish, but in terms of their gameplay, there isn't actually anything that the Netherlands can't try and replicate. It's just been done so well by Spain.
Oh, first touch on the ball, and the ball goes loose.
Yeah, scrum.
Well, you can just see Cialau getting in the way there. But a rueful grin on the face of the new man, relying what must be a little bit embarrassing not to be able to finish off tantamount to an open goal.
Crouch. Bind. Set. Ok. Sì, vengo di là, Manuel, vengo di là. Okay, okay. Again, please.
Talking about the
Guys,
Netherlands up
both
against
keep up.
Georgia
Okay.
next weekend.
Previously, the cameras were very good. Let's come back
Spain
there.
will be going to Sochi to face Russia.
Okay.
An enraged Russia, you'd imagine, losing today against Romania.
You want to move?
Yeah, under their new coach, of course, Dick Muir in charge for the first time this afternoon.
Okay.
Will have learnt a lot about his new charges, no doubt. Put in, I think, half the team he put out against the Oaks was different personnel. A few Moldovans in there as well. So be interesting to see how Russia set out to play. Whether there's any, if much, difference from the Lynn Jones era. If Lynn is watching, I hope he's well and recovering well. Sure you join me in that with his recent medical travails.
Okay, grazie, Manuel.
Well, I make this the first potential bit of possession in the Spanish half. That's not even made Spanish half. It really is.
They must
a
feel
from
suffocated,
Spain,
Rob. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
we used the same word.
Sì, sto vedendo se esce da fuori, no?
Yeah, it's tough.
No, ecco.
It is tough, but that's what World Rugby is about, I guess. Storm Carroll on.
Siamo fuori dai 22, ovviamente.
Daily Lemon unable to be involved this afternoon due to COVID-related issues.
Yeah. That's not fun.
Well, when it's not going for you, it's just not going for you, is it?
No, you could see the reaction for 3 or 4 of the Netherlands players there, just finding it really difficult in this game.
Okay,
And
now
that's
I stay on the
both
offside, it's fine.
their own frustrations from an error, like an unforced error, but also what's faced them for the last 55 minutes. It's just this relentless line speed. It's people getting in their face. Netherlands have tried a similar tactic, but they do so individually, whereas the Spanish all press together.
Both stay there, both stay
And there's
there.
no playing around it. The Netherlands are getting the ball stood still, they're getting hit backwards, and it's just a difficult day all round. I think the Spanish now will be looking to try and capitalise on having this ball again and just interjecting with this pace that they've got.
Bind. Set.
Tommy Munilla with the feed, and suddenly it's Dominguez breaking around the side and finding gaps all over the park now. Minguillon showing the strength and desire to find his way to the target, and another try on the board for Los Leones.
Well, the Spanish fans are treated to an absolute procession of attacking rugby. Some wonderful skill sets. What an offload out the back. All still to do for Mignon. He's pushing players around. He's running over them, through them, round them, and then has the audacity to reach down with his right arm to get the ball over the line. That is some play. Munilla with interjection. Finished. Not by that man, but by the 15, Munilla. It's a Spanish party out in Madrid.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be many taking their siestas right now, because it's just so good to watch for any fans of Los Leones. It's not been an easy time over the last 2-3 years. Missing out, as I mentioned, on going to Japan 3 years ago. So the bench is now being emptied, trying to give everybody game time. There's Facundo Dominguez being replaced by Michael Coyhog. Munilla. Overhead up. Just see that Netherlands line having to work overtime to plug the gap. Such is the speed at which Spain are working the ball.
Leo.
So even if the front rowers are trying to put those little passes out the back. Annabelle Bonan.
I'm sorry, I was steady, but
The referee is struggling to find enough air around Madrid at the moment.
Well, Gianluca Dieci, we saw him get involved with the driving more previously. That was a potential short line hole that he just blocked with his presence. Players identifying that if you can run in or near a referee, there's going to be a gap there. This is it. It was a lovely idea. The space was there, as you can see the man in blue just plugging the gap. That's where he's trying to go. Not able to get there.
To be fair, he didn't move, did he?
Didn't move, no, doesn't have to.
Audace just struggling with what looks like a bit of cramp maybe. He hasn't had much game time for Bayern. Utilised as their premier playmaker. Indeed, he's had a few injuries recently as well, so this will be not only the performance but the endurance to get through what looks like 80 minutes. Spain having put both their, well, all three of their back replacements on, Munir, Belli and Juemes.
Mark. Yes.
Yadi playing. There he is, making his international debut. Member of the under-20s. Scored a great try indeed in a Netherlands-Spain game in the under-20 championship. Wonderful try from some range. Learning his rugby with the Oyonnax Espoir, with Joel Ab's men. He's going to learn a lot now in the next 10 minutes about the international game. Maguillon again looking to find the angles to open things up. Ball comes back Dutch side though.
Nope. It's backward. Leave now, Red. Stay.
Just the line speed coming in from Spain, so difficult. They're almost given only one option for the Netherlands team, and it's all the players that are getting up. It's not just one or two, and as a result, not many spaces.
Yeah, it feels like they're swamping them both in attack and defence, Rob, doesn't it? The way that this game has gone, there's no room to manoeuvre for the visitors.
No, constantly moving forward, getting into the face of the Netherlands attackers, and then because they are moving forward and the Netherlands are going backwards, this happens. You get two or three forwards in and around the ball, straight over the top, no support to clear it.
Is that technical now, Rob? When you see one man, one defender able to do that?
It's a system. So their defensive system is to all come up and almost banana in as a defensive line. So the only space is right on the outside. The way many teams would try and counter that is by looking at crossfield kicks or kicks in behind, because that's where the space then is. But the Netherlands haven't tried that tactic. They're trying to play around it and they're getting caught. And as soon as you get caught, that's when you're in trouble because your supporting players aren't close enough. So it's a technical element to it as a tactic, but the execution is brilliant. And that's why Spain have had such success.
Well, I was just looking at that breakdown as well. When you have one Spanish defender and three Dutch forwards coming in to try and clear the ball, and the one man wins, surely that has to be a technical aspect, isn't it?
Okay, water out, please, now.
Well, in a sense that you're low enough to get over it. I mean, if you have three people that are trying to move a person off the ball, they're actually clamped on the person. So even if you're going to hit them and try and clear them, they have an anchor over the ball. And the reality is, if you take 1 or 2 seconds to be secured over it, that's going to give the referee's mind a chance to see that you've won that collision. So I guess in some ways that would be the tactical bit to it and a technical execution. But the whole thing works brilliantly for Spain and has them for the last 70 minutes.
And here's a driving maul from a line-out that's going to work brilliantly as well. And Santiago Ovejero is in prime position to nab the try. The 7th try is in the bag for Los Leones. and the celebrations in the stands, fun in the sun for everybody connected with Spanish rugby this afternoon.
Look how much success and celebrations they get from the driving lineup, but they know that's the result of the rest of the work that's gone before it. Really has been a masterclass up front from the big guys. But it's the way the whole team have worked brilliantly. Collectively in defence, that's given them this wonderful platform.
And it's been a go-to, really, for the Spanish. It's worked so well. No problems with the conversion, and the points just keep coming for the home side this afternoon.
Very pleased, coach, on looking.
Yeah, he's had his fair amount of criticism within the social media pages over the last 2 or 3 years, but much as this is not a surprise result, the way in which they've played should please and delight many of his detractors, you would have thought.
Oh, absolutely, no arguments at all, because it's the systems that have enabled them to be so effective today, and they've done it with a large degree of change. A few players coming in early doors, so they've been really up against it in terms of what they've been faced with today. And this is a really good Netherlands team. You know, we've also got to recognise that they have not got near this game, and that's a testament to the tactical execution of the Spanish. So absolutely needs to be big praise indeed for the whole Spanish coaching team.
John Merkler just taking a quick breather.
Can we do it here, guys? It's better. Time back
For
on.
the last push towards full time.
Here is the mark.
52-7. The Spaniards won in Amsterdam before Christmas. Looking to at least repeat that.
Crouch. Bind.
Mark Coburg. Then
Come
scrum
on your
half.
side,
There's
please don't
Audace
anticipate
just
any call, okay, let's do it again.
calling lot on his game.
No, non ho capito cosa mi hanno detto. Crouch.
This is
Bind.
the first of 2 home games for Spain to start this campaign off.
Don't keep the push.
I beg pardon, they go to Russia, but then when they come back to home, it's Romania. That will be a huge game at the end of February. They've got Portugal at home before they finish with a trip to Tbilisi. But as I mentioned at the beginning of this match, home advantage really has to be made to count
Yeah, keep the push, please.
if they're going to get a chance of what you would assume is silver place. Georgia presumably will take gold. Silver will also get a ticket to France 2023. Third place, bronze, if you will be invited to the repechage. We'll see how that pans out.
Crouch.
It's going to be an intriguing
Bind.
campaign for all these sides to see how they mix things up before we get to the end of this one. Kick pass not quite working out there for Jordi Jova.
Non può giocare rapido, è stata toccata. Yeah, you
Good
can-
to see him
No,
back
what
on
an
the park.
exciting time it is. Yeah, really good to see him back in. Look, that's what I mean about the threat about any type of advancing defence you can kick in behind, but sadly not quite done right, and as a result it went out in the full, so it's a line-up back to where it was kicked. But what an exciting time in the Rugby European Championship in general. We're talking about
Numbers.
places for the World Cup at stage, and not just that, a European World Cup. So excitement must really be palpable across the board for Rugby Europe and their teams.
Yeah, and you think, Rob, that the Netherlands are the only team in this tournament that haven't got World Cup experience. That may be a little way off on what we've seen through the course of today, of course, but the other teams know what it's like at some point in their history, and that's why they will be wanting to make sure that they get off to a real hot start in this campaign. Looking to add the points that they garnered through 2021. The Netherlands desperate to break that bagel in the top left corner. From Bud. Coburg. Campbell.
Right, come back. Hands off. Play on.
Well, the Netherlands, to their credit, showing huge pluck and enthusiasm to keep playing right to the end, even from inside their own 22. Jimeno. Jorba, back from 2 torn ACLs. That's a determination to keep playing the game. Good little 1-2. Jimeno just running out of room on that right-hand flank.
As you say, it's good to see the team still going for it. Plenty of expansive rugby into the very latter stages of this game. In-goal effort, trying to run it out for the Netherlands, and seemingly any chance to have a go in front of this Madrid crowd, the Spanish will take. Nice interplay on the inside ball. Plenty of space on there on the inside, and sadly couldn't quite go to hand as there was no real supporting player looking clear. But otherwise, this has been brilliant from Spain. The second half in particular, I felt they've really took it up another level from what was good in the first half, ended up outstanding in the second.
Invece no. Fine è quando l'arbitro fischia.
Just seeing that dexterity and the confidence that's obviously emanating through the ranks now for those in red. It bodes well. Obviously, it's the first brick in the wall, if you will, but it bodes well for Los Leones that they can produce a performance like this, albeit against, of course, the bottom team in this tournament.
Now, wait, please, guys, please. Yeah, the mark is with the assistant referee. Open, please. Spain, open the gap.
Merkler dispensing with any ideas of a sidestep. But here come the rest of that backline at some speed, at some pace now. Try score of a head up.
Back, blue, back.
I don't know what the Spanish for jouer is, Rob, but that certainly seems to be what Spain have got in their heads right now.
Yeah, just shouting as Vamos right across the pitch. I think it's been great, hasn't it? They have that ability and will to want to play, and they're getting fast ball whenever they want. But still, you see a lot of energy from the Netherlands trying to compete against them, just trying to stop it. You say the pride of a nation, might be 43 on a 3-0 on the scoreline, but they still are up for making impressions in this almost final play of the game now.
Final scrum, final play of this second game in the Rugby Europe Championship 2022.
Inching. Okay.
Visma steps up, gets the call from his captain as to what he wants.
Well, sadly, it wouldn't be surprising if the final act of this game was indeed Spain stealing the ball at a set piece. I do hope we get to see just one shot, though, with this long shadows now casting on the field of the electric Netherlands backline, just having one showing.
Not going to be. Tap back for Tommy Munilla. A live wire, Bezier 9, trying to find a gap. And this is the confidence that Spain have now got from the way that they've put their game together. Really have been in total domination of this one.
Use it! That's that, yeah? Yeah, it is.
It's finished. Let's go home. Job is done. Terrific performance from the hosts. They really have shown what they're about, what they're capable of, given the time, given the opportunity. 3 tries in the first half, 4 in the second. That's the 14th win they've had against the Netherlands. It's been tough for the visitors, no question about that. They will feel a little bit shell-shocked this afternoon, no doubt.
Thanks, Captain.
But
Thanks.
in every game, you learn lessons, and Zane Gardner will be hoping that his group have learnt lessons from the way that this match has played out. A fine start for Los Leones, maximum point haul with that 43-0 final score.
There's certainly going to be lessons on both sides of the ledger. The Netherlands making many in how the Spanish have come about it, and what a precedence of performance it was from the Spanish. Pinto, Mora and Usaraga up front really were instrumental. Rouet and Ordaz controlled things with a plum in midfield. Their ability right across the board to dominate this Netherlands team was a very impressive spectacle, and many teams will be watching this footage for later analysis to just fear how the Spanish can go if they get their tactics right.
As I mentioned earlier, Rob, the home advantage is going to be critical. Spain, with 3 home games this campaign, have got to make the most of playing in front of fans, their own fans, and playing in familiar surroundings, you would think.
Yeah, and I think they'll also have that, back of the mind about the last qualifications for the Rugby World Cup there. The media will be making a thing about this being almost a redemption for them to really push on. They're going to be tested in the latter stages of the tournament, clearly, because of the quality of this. But for a starting outing, that's about as good as you get.
Well, the stats may not be totally up to date on there, but you get a feel of the total way in which Spain have controlled this game from pretty much start to finish. We shall get some reaction from both camps shortly, so stay with us for that. I think the style with which Spain played is the biggest learning or which they're capable of playing is the biggest learning from that 80 minutes, Rob. Would you agree? I seem to have lost Rob for a minute. There. So the due respect being shown from each side. Rob, are you back with us?
Yeah, I was just contemplating there. Very, very effective. I think the Spanish are going to be really happy with how they went controlling the game physically. I think they're going to be challenged in a different level when they play the likes of Georgia and certainly Romania and Russia. So their positives of this will be about the effectiveness of their tactics, their implication and effectiveness of applying that strategy, and cohesively how well they transition in both backs and forwards. I think that has been a real good, strong showing, and I am intrigued to hear what captains and coaches think of that performance, because you would say, on the face of it, there wasn't much to fault in this Spanish performance.
Certainly the smiles are back on the faces of those Spanish players, and you would assume on the coaching staff as well. It's, yeah, sign of the times, isn't it? The face masks have to go straight back on after the game is finished.
After playing a game of rugby. Wow. There we go. That's the world we're in.
Afraid so. There's Zane Gardner talking to his charges. He's a very balanced man, so you know he won't get too high or too low, whatever the outcome. And his team know that as well. Great man to have in charge. He's just got to lead them into the next step and learn the lessons from that one, as tough as it will be to take.
Yep, as we've started the day, Wardy, with a great deal of respect shown to Kawaleuma, that's how you do it. Really was a testament to that performance and the emotions that they controlled and clearly used. The emotions will be back on the faces now, I'm sure you're about to see. But that is probably one of the best warning shots for the Spanish to send out to the rest of this competition.
Yes, to get the bonus point win is everything that they could have asked ahead of this weekend. And as I say, the style in which they've done it will certainly embellish the feel good that the fans and players, no doubt, will be having right now. Tomorrow's game, 3 o'clock UK time, Georgia up against Portugal, the other Iberian team, if you will, in this tournament. It'll be fascinating to see. Let's have a word from Zane Gardner now.
It's been a tough game. What are your impressions?
Yeah, I think full credit to Spain. I think Spain were really clinical today and then started really well in that first half and made sure that they played in the right parts of the field. And even when we had possession in the first half, we had a bit of possession, we just couldn't get out of our half, and that's a credit to Spain. They were really prepared for this game and they came out and took it to us, which is great for us. We'll learn from this, and we wanted to pay respects, obviously, to the Spanish player, Kawa, and I think the boys were really emotional and wanted to show how much he meant to us, and that's the beautiful thing about rugby.
Thank you very much, Zane.
Yeah, Zane Gardner rightly mentioning the emotion that's flowed through from the beginning of this game, really. The connection, of course, to that game in Amsterdam before Christmas, and then the passing of Kawaleuma.
Rugby captain. It was a tough game, but
Yes.
you played really, really well in the first half. How do you feel?
Yeah, obviously disappointed. What you say, the first 25 minutes we stick in there, but then Spain, the second half they came with a quick tempo of the game and we couldn't follow, and quite disappointed actually. We were expecting more from ourselves today.
Good luck in the rest of the championship.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks.
Dirk Dunnan, the Netherlands captain, just realising the enormity, I think, of what's coming up ahead, but they will not be shirking the challenge, that's for sure. It'll be interesting to see how they respond, how they try and bounce back from this fairly hefty body blow. Let's go into the Spanish camp.
You take your objective today, 5 points. How do you feel?
Well, we are happy. We are in the race for the qualification for the World Cup. It was very important to start strong, and it's been a very good game. We got 5 points, so we carry on. And next week, thinking in Russia.
Thank you very much, Sandy.
Almost a smile from Santi there. No doubt inside he's beaming. It certainly was a great way to get started. And the Spanish fans will be delighted with what they've seen.
How do you feel after the game? That's a good game.
John Merkler.
Good victory for Spain.
Yeah, very happy. We played a pretty good game. It wasn't an easy game, and we were able to get the bonus, so it helps for the qualification. And yeah, we had to do it for Kawa, and I'm very glad we played that well for him, and he's pushing behind us.
Thank you very much. You have your friends over here, so you can go and celebrate.
Okay,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
As you'd expect from a man with an English father, Joel Merkler in confident and fine form. It's very emotive. As he says, Kawa is pushing for us still, and that's what has been achieved. The emotion from that loss. Well, it's been a fine afternoon for those that are supporting Los Leones. I've been Simon Ward. Thanks to Rob Vickerman. Thank you to you for your company as we leave you with the highlights of the second half. We look forward to you joining us once again. Don't forget, it's Georgia against Portugal tomorrow afternoon here on Rugby Europe TV, and we will see you, if not then, next weekend. A very good night.